Order, order, in the Grand Chamber, High Counselor Vex Terra's voice boomed. Through the crystalline dome of the Galactic Council headquarters, the seven-armed beings. Violet's skin pulsed with patterns of self-importance as she gazed down at the assembled representatives. We will now address the matter of Earth's petition for full council membership. I shifted in my observation. Pod grateful that my position as Ambassador Krill Nova granted me a perfect view of the proceedings. My sensory tendril tingled with anticipation after 300 cycles of watching these humans. I knew the session would be different. The human delegation sat in their designated section looking oddly relaxed. Trade Minister Bryn Calloway, their chief representative, was actually smiling. Who smiles during a council judgment? These humans. Apparently the council has reviewed Earth's petition extensively. Vexer continued, her primary arms gesturing dramatically. We have found their civilization wanting. A murmur rippled through the chamber. I noticed several of my fellow ambassadors exchanging knowing glances. The council's decision had been inevitable. Really, humans were too unpredictable, too innovative, too dangerous. Would the council care to elaborate on their findings? Trade Minister Calloway's voice carried clearly, still maintaining that irritating smile. The casual tone made Vex Terra's skin pattern shift to a deeper purple. Gladly, the High Counselor practically purred. Earth's technological advancement rate exceeds acceptable parameters. Your species developed faster than light travel mere decades after achieving space flight. This pace is concerning. Calloway raised an eyebrow. I believe the word you're looking for is impressive. Several gasps echoed through the chamber. I felt my own tendrils curl in shock. No one spoke to the High Counselor that way. Furthermore, Vexer continued, clearly annoyed, your species displays alarming levels of adaptability and military potential. The Council cannot risk admitting a potentially destabilizing force into our ranks. I watched as Council Member Zixfera, known for her moderate views, shifted uncomfortably. Perhaps we should consider. She began. The decision is final. Vex Terra cut her off. Earth's issue is rejected. Moreover, the Council hereby restricts Earth's expansion to their current colonial holdings. Any attempt to establish new colonies or trading posts will be viewed as an act of aggression. The chamber erupted in surprise chatter. This was more than a simple rejection. It was practically a containment order. I focused my attention on the human delegation, expecting outrage, protest, perhaps even threats. Instead, Trade Minister Calloway laughed. She actually laughed. High Counselor Calloway said, standing smoothly, thank you for this enlightening session. Earth appreciates your candid assessment. She paused, that smile growing wider. We hereby withdraw all diplomatic presence from council space effective immediately. You what? Vex's skin patterns froze in confusion. Oh, and one more thing, Calloway added, already walking toward the exit with her team. You might want to check your trading algorithms. I have a feeling they're about to get very interesting. As the human delegation departed, I noticed something that sent a chill through my neural network. They weren't walking like rejected petitioners. They were walking like people who had just won a game no one else knew they were playing. Beaks Terra recovered quickly, her skin pulsing with authority. Let the record show that Earth has chosen isolation. They will learn the cost of defying council wisdom. But as I watched Council Member Zixf discreetly checking market projections on her datapad, I wondered who would be learning what lessons. The human response had been too prepared, too confident. In 300 cycles of diplomatic observation, I had learned one crucial thing about humans: they were always planning something. And judging by Trade Minister Calloway's smile, this plan had been in motion long before today's rejection. I activated my private Reist order, speaking softly. Note: recommend immediate review of all human trading patterns for the past 5 cycles. Something tells me we've missed something obvious, and knowing humans, by the time we figure it out, it will be far too late. The council session continued, moving on to other matters, but I couldn't shake the feeling that we had just witnessed the opening move in a game whose rules we didn't understand. Humans had a saying about pride coming before a fall. I had a feeling the council was about to learn exactly what that meant. The next 10 cycles proved my worst fears right. As an ambassador tasked with monitoring human activity, I watched the pieces fall into place with growing dread, but trying to explain it to the council, that was like trying to teach a Zion slug quantum physics. Ambassador Krill Nova, your concerns are noted but hardly warranted. High Counselor Vexer dismissed my latest report with a wave of her third arm. The humans are simply posturing. Their withdrawal from council space is nothing more than a Tantrum, I projected my latest findings onto the council chamber's main display with respect High Counselor look. At these trading patterns in the past 3 cycles alone, human corporations have cancelled 90% of their contracts with Council Worlds, but here's the interesting part, they're not stopping trade, they're rerouting at Council. Member ZixF leaned forward, her crystalline eyes focusing on the data streams through the Outer Rim worlds, but those systems were barely developed. I corrected something changed about 2 cycles ago. Suddenly these supposedly primitive worlds have state-of-the-art spaceports, standardized trading protocols, and the display shifted to show a massive space station orbiting a previously unremarkable planet in the Outer Rim. Its design was unlike anything in space, all clean lines and efficient beauty, and it was enormous. When did they build this? Vexer demanded, her skin pattern showing the first signs of genuine concern. That's just it, I said. According to our intelligence, this station went from initial construction to full operation in under 60 days. The chamber erupted in dismissive laughter. Impossible, shouted one of the junior counselors. Such a structure would take at least 3 cycles to complete unless Zixa interrupted, her voice thoughtful, unless they had been preparing the components in secret, storing them in seemingly harmless cargo containers across multiple systems, waiting for the right moment. Like rejection from the council, I finished. The laughter died quickly. There's more, I continued. Remember Trade Minister Calloway's comment about our trading algorithms? Look at these market projections, the display filled with complex economic models. Most council members' eyes glazed over, but ZixF cursed softly. They've created a parallel economy. All those years of studying our trading systems, they weren't learning to join them, I said. They were learning to compete with them, and now they're offering better rates, faster shipping, and fewer restrictions to any world willing to trade outside council jurisdiction. Vexterra's skin had turned an alarming shade of deep purple. This is unacceptable. We must show them the consequences of such defiance. I propose immediate sanctions. Already implemented, a new voice called out. Junior Ambassador Rex Wendell hurried into the chamber, looking flustered. The humans, they're laughing at our sanctions. Literally, their official response was a video of their trade ministry staff having what they call a party, celebrating with something called champagne. They're treating it like a game. I accessed the video feed, and sure enough, there was Bryn Calloway raising a glass with her team to the council. She toasted, that same knowing smile on her face. Thanks for giving us exactly what we wanted, what they wanted. Vexterra's voice had risen several octaves. This is absurd. No species wants isolation unless, I said slowly, the realization hitting me, unless isolation from us was exactly what they needed to build something new, something better. The chamber fell silent as another report flashed across the display. More trading posts appearing across the Outer Rim. More worlds signing exclusive deals with human corporations, and most alarming of all, a steady stream of our own citizens requesting travel visas to human space. They're not isolating themselves, ZixF whispered. They're isolating us. I watched the council members finally beginning to grasp the magnitude of what was happening. We had rejected humanity from our carefully controlled, tradition-bound society, and in response they had simply shrugged, smiled, and built their own High Counselor. I said, my tendrils curling with resignation. I believe we may have catastrophically misread the situation. The humans didn't want to join our empire. They wanted permission to start their own. As if to punctuate my point, another alert flashed across the display. 3 more Outer Rim worlds had just announced their intention to formally align with what they were calling the Human Cooperative. The council chamber erupted into chaos, but somewhere in the back of my mind I could still hear Bryn Calloway's laughter, and for the first time in my diplomatic career I understood exactly what the humans meant by the phrase "who's laughing." Now recording date cycle 47 after council rejection. Ambassador status report priority level red, submitted by Ambassador Krill Nova. The humans have a saying success is the best revenge. At first I thought it was just another one of their quirky expressions. Now I understand they were giving us a warning. We were too arrogant to hear. The Human Cooperative Trade Network expanded faster than a quantum cascade reaction. Within just 10 cycles they had established over 300 trading posts across the Outer Rim, but it wasn't just the speed that worried us, it was the efficiency. Take the Nexus hub at Proxima Centauri. When Trade Minister Calloway unveiled it, even our most seasoned economists couldn't believe the throughput numbers. The station processed more cargo in a day than our biggest ports handled in a month. How they had completely redesigned the concept of space commerce. Look at this, I explained to the Emergency Council session displaying footage of the hub's operations. They've eliminated 90% of traditional docking procedures. Ships arrive, automated systems handle the cargo transfer, and they're gone. No paperwork, no bribes, no waiting. Where are the customs inspectors? High Counselor Vexer sputtered. The verification officers, the authorization committees, that's the point. Council member Zixef said quietly, they're not there. The humans built a system based on what traders actually need, not what bureaucrats want, and that was just the beginning. The colonies that had aligned with the cooperative underwent transformations that defied explanation. Take New Haven, a struggling mining outpost in the Kena sector under council rule. They barely produced enough or to survive. 6 months after joining the cooperative, they became the largest exporter of rare earth elements in 3 sectors. It's their technology, one reported, trying to keep the amazement out of my voice. They're not just trading, they're sharing innovations. The display showed scenes from New Haven's recently established Tech Exchange Center. Human engineers worked alongside local specialists, teaching them to use something they called nano-mining drones, small efficient machines that could extract ore with minimal environmental impact. The council's mining corporations were still using massive excavators that destroyed entire mountain ranges. This has to stop, Vexer declared. They're disrupting thousands of cycles of established business practices. That's not the worst part, Junior Ambassador Rax Wendell interrupted, rushing in with fresh data. They've just announced their latest project, something called the Liberation Protocol. The chamber display lit up with specifications that made my tendrils curl in disbelief. The humans had developed a way to break our monopoly on faster-than-light communication, not just break it, shatter it completely. It's a network of quantum entanglement relays, Zixa explained, her voice filled with reluctant admiration. Any world can join, the only requirement open trade policies and fair labor practices. They're building an entirely new communications infrastructure. I added, one we don't control, one we can't monitor, one we can't shut down. The council chamber erupted in angry shouts and demands for action, but through it all I noticed Zixef studying the economic projections with an odd expression. Ambassador Krill, Nova, she pulled me aside after the session. Have you noticed something strange about their expansion pattern? I had. The cooperative wasn't just growing randomly. Each new addition strengthened their network in specific ways. Manufacturing worlds linked to resourcer planets, connected by efficient trade routes, all supported by their revolutionary technology. They're not just building a trade network, I realized, they're building an empire, but not like ours. No, Zixa agreed, they're building something far more dangerous, an empire where everyone wins. The proof came 3 days later when the Aryan Federation, one of our oldest member states, announced they were exploring economic opportunities with the cooperative. The same day, human ships delivered their new quantum communication relays to 6 more outer rim worlds. In my private quarters that night, I reviewed the latest reports. Innovation hubs springing up across cooperative space, joint research projects producing technologies we had deemed impossible, trade routes growing more efficient by the day. The humans had turned our rejection into the foundation of something unprecedented. They weren't just succeeding, they were rewriting the rules of galactic civilization, and they were doing it with that same infuriating smile. Trade Minister Calloway had worn when she walked out of the council chamber. My communication panel chimed. Speaking of the devil, it was a public broadcast from Calloway herself announcing the cooperative's latest initiative, free technology sharing for any world that met their basic humanitarian standards. After all, she said, looking directly into the camera with that knowing smile, a rising tide lifts all ships, even those that tried to sink us. I added a personal note to my official report. The council sought to contain humanity's potential because we feared it would destabilize our carefully ordered galaxy. In doing so, we may have achieved exactly what we sought to prevent, but not in any way we could have predicted. They're not destabilizing the galaxy through conflict or conquest. They're doing it by simply being better than us, and the most terrifying part, they're only just getting started. Emergency Council broadcast security level maximum, recorded by Ambassador Krill. Nova, the Great Council Chamber, once a symbol of galactic order, now resembles what humans call a circus. Not that I blame my fellow representatives, it's hard to maintain dignity when your entire economic system is collapsing around you. 472,000. High Counselor Vexer is voice cracked as she read the latest numbers. 472,000 skilled workers, have relocated to cooperative space in the past month alone. Technically, I added because someone had to that number. Doesn't include the entire Zari engineering corps, who announced their relocation this morning. The chambers' crystalline walls vibrated with Vex Terra's shriek of frustration. The Zenari too, but they built half our advanced computing networks, and now they'll build better ones for the Humans Council member Zixa noted dryly, along with our best quantum physicists, terraforming specialists, and artificial intelligence researchers. The display screens around us told the story in brutal detail. Whole sectors of council space were experiencing economic downturns. The Proxima trade route, once our busiest commercial corridor, now sat nearly empty. Meanwhile, the human-controlled shipping lanes blazed with constant traffic. Perhaps, suggested Junior Ambassador Rex Wendell, we could try sanctioning their new allies, show them the cost of defying council authority. The laughter that followed wasn't the amused kind. Several council members had already tried that approach. The results, well, the Aryan Federation, I reported, pulling up the relevant data, responded to our sanctions by signing an exclusive mining contract with the cooperative. They're now reporting a 300% increase in production and a 400% rise in worker satisfaction. Worker satisfaction isn't a valid economic metric, Vexer protested. The humans seem to think it is. Zix fear countered, along with fair wages, safe working conditions, and something they call profit sharing. Quite revolutionary concepts. Apparently another alert flashed across our screens. The Centon Manufacturing Guild, backbone of council military production, had just announced restructuring talks with cooperative representatives. No, Vexer skin patterns were cycling through colors faster than a malfunctioning holo display. We cannot allow this. Deploy the fleet, blockade their trading posts, show them the consequences of their actions. The silence that followed was deafening. About the fleet, Admiral Porno cleared his throat nervously. We seem to be experiencing some technical difficulties. What kind of difficulties? The kind where half our ships can't leave dock because they're Zenari designed navigation systems are no longer receiving updates, and the other half are running on outdated security protocol calls that the humans apparently cracked 3 cycles ago. I watched Vex Terra sink back into her hover chair, her skin fading to a pale lavender of defeat, but the hits kept coming. New report from the Outer Rim. RX Wendell announced the humans have unveiled something called the Sanctuary Program. They're offering immediate citizenship and relocation assistance to any skilled workers facing political or economic persecution in council space. They can't do that, someone shouted. It's against regulations. Actually, Zixa consulted her data pad. According to the very laws we use to reject their membership, independent powers are free to set their own immigration policies. Rather ironic, isn't it? The daily economic reports scrolled past. On the main display, council shipping companies filing for bankruptcy, trading houses closing their doors. Even the prestigious Galactic Academy of Sciences had lost half its faculty to human research institutions. Do you know what the humans call this? I asked the chamber. They call it brain drain. Rather apt, considering they're draining us of every brilliant mind we tried to keep under our control. There must be something we can do, Beaks Terra pleaded. What about our cultural influence, our centuries of tradition? Another alert chimed. The latest entertainment ratings showed council broadcasts reaching an all-time low, while human media everything from their music to their ridiculous action movies was spreading across the galaxy like a viral infection. Well, I noted, checking the cultural impact reports. According to this, the most popular song in council space is now something called Breaking Free by a human artist. Rather on the nose, don't you think? The council session devolved into chaos after that. Some called for military action we couldn't execute. Others suggested negotiations from a position of weakness we couldn't hide. A few simply sat there watching their power evaporate like water in a desert. Later, in my private quarters, I received an unofficial transmission from Trade Minister Calloway. No words, just a video clip of humans celebrating something called New Year's Eve on one of their newly established colonies. Thousands of beings, humans and aliens alike, counting down together, sharing drinks, lighting up the sky with fireworks. I added a final note to my daily report. The council sought to prevent humanity from changing the galaxy. In our arrogance, we never considered that the galaxy might want to be changed. The panic spreading through our chambers isn't just about losing power or profit. It's the terror of realizing that we've become obsolete, and the humans, they're Not even trying to conquer us, they're simply building something better and letting us watch our own empire crumble. Under the weight of its outdated ideals, due priority alert Council security breach location Grand Archives reporting. Officer Ambassador Krill Nova. The day the Council lost its last shred of relevance began with an announcement that made my sensory tendrils go numb. Trade Minister Bryn Calloway stood on the steps of their new headquarters, a stunning structure on Terra Nova that made our council chamber look like a primitive cave dwelling. Today, she declared to an audience of over 50 species, the Human Cooperative becomes the United Systems Alliance. Our doors are open to all who share our vision of progress, innovation, and freedom. The council chamber fell into stunned silence as we watched the broadcast. Behind Calloway stood representatives from former council worlds, outer rim colonies, and even most shockingly 3 members of our own high council. Traitors. Vex Terra screeched, her skin turning an unprecedented shade of PW6F. How could you? Our former council member smiled that infuriating human-like smile. How could I not look at what they've achieved in just 2 cycles? The display shifted to show their latest miracle, the dead world of Proxima be transformed into a garden paradise through their advanced terraforming technology. What took our best scientists 50 cycles to partially achieve, they had accomplished in less than 1. The terraforming technology alone, Zixa continued, has already restored 12 dead worlds to habitability, and unlike the Council, they share their innovations freely with all member worlds. Freely. Vexer sputtered, nothing is free. Another cosmic truth you failed to understand. Admiral Luna Chun stepped forward, her Earth fleet insignia gleaming. Some things are worth more when shared. The next announcement hit like a quantum torpedo. The Alliance unveiled their planetary restoration initiative, offering free terraforming services to any world willing to leave the Council. The line of applicants formed before Calloway finished speaking. This is economic warfare. Junior Ambassador Rax Wendell protested. No, I corrected. Watching the celebrations erupting across former Council space, this is revolution. The data streams told the story. Alliance worlds reported unprecedented prosperity. Their unified research networks produced innovations daily. Their trade routes hummed with activity, but most importantly, their people were happy. Look at these migration numbers, I reported to what remained of the Council. Even our own bureaucrats are defecting. Last week, the entire Department of Commercial Regulations resigned. They now run a simple trading post in Alliance space, processing more commerce in a day than they did in a year. Here, Vexer slumped in her chair as another alert flashed. The Galactic Bank announcing its relocation to Alliance space. How she whispered, how did they build all this so quickly? Because came a voice from the entrance. Ambassador Sarah Chun, Earth's last diplomatic contact with us, stood there with an almost pitying expression. We never wanted your empire, we wanted to show the galaxy a better way. You gave us the perfect opportunity when you rejected us. She placed a data crystal on the central podium. Our final diplomatic note, the Alliance extends an open invitation to any Council world willing to embrace change. No conditions except basic human rights and fair trade practices. You planned this, I realized, my tendrils curling in amazement. All of it. Let's just say, she winked. Rejection from your Council was the best thing that ever happened to Earth. Sometimes the greatest success comes from being told no. As she turned to leave, I called after her, why tell us now? Because she looked back with that trademark human smile. The game's already over, you just didn't know. You were playing the Council chamber, once the seat of galactic power, now felt like a museum of obsolete ideas. Outside, the first celebration fireworks were already lighting up the sky over another world. Joining the Alliance in my final report to the nearly empty Council archives, I wrote, the humans thanked us for rejecting them, not out of spite or sarcasm, but genuine gratitude. We forked them to build something new, something better. While we clung to our ancient protocols and rigid hierarchies, they created an empire based on cooperation, innovation, and freedom, and the galaxy, it seems, prefers their way to ours. Postscript. High Counselor Vex Terra was last seen filling out an Alliance citizenship application. Even she knows the future lies with those we tried to exclude. How perfectly human. Final emergency broadcast security level. Absolute recorder. Former Ambassador Krill Nova. Note, this may be my last report, not because anything bad has happened, rather there's no Council left to report to. It started with what humans call a desperate last stand, though in our case it was more like a desperate last stumble. High Counselor Vex Terra, in What history will surely record as the greatest miscalculation since telling humans they couldn't join our club decided to launch what remained of the Council fleet against the Alliance's main trading hub, show them the price of defiance, she declared to our nearly empty chamber. Once we destroy their precious trade routes, the galaxy will remember why the Council ruled for 10,000 cycles. I tried pointing out several key problems with this plan, like the fact that half our ships couldn't start their engines because the Zenari engineers had taken their access code with them, or that our remaining crews had an average age of 300 cycles because all the young officers had joined the Alliance Space Force, but Vexterra wouldn't listen. She never did. That's how we got into this mess in the first place. The Council's mighty armada of 37 partially functioning ships dropped out of hyperspace near the new Terra hub. Admiral Lunachen's response: she invited them to dock. Your ships look like they need maintenance, she said over an open channel. We'd be happy to help. Our repair facilities are open to all vessels regardless of political affiliation. Would you like to schedule a service appointment? The transmission left Vexterra so flustered her skin pattern started displaying advertisement messages from her last shopping trip. This is an attack, she screeched. Deploy weapons fire. That's when we saw them emerging from what our sensors had dismissed as background radiation. Thousands of ships, not warships, civilian vessels, trading ships, passenger liners, cargo haulers, all Alliance members, all forming a peaceful blockade around our fleet. Fun fact: Trade Minister Calloway's voice came over the comms. While you were busy building dreadnoughts, we were building relationships. Would you like to know how many of your former allies are represented in this fleet? The numbers appeared on our screens: 7,000 ships from over 300 worlds, including, I noted with amusement, 6 luxury yachts registered to Council members who'd already defected. This is your last chance, Admiral Chun announced. Power down your weapons and accept our offer of assistance, or what Vexterra demanded. You'll destroy us. The laughter that followed from thousands of ships and millions of beings will haunt what remains of my diplomatic career forever. Destroy you. Bryn Calloway's face appeared on our main screen. Oh honey, no, we're gonna help you whether you like it or not. That's when they revealed their final card, the real reason they let us come this far. From the hub central station, a massive energy pulse swept across space. Our weapon systems didn't just shut down, they transformed. Congratulations, Calloway announced cheerfully. You've just received a complimentary upgrade to Alliance standard safety protocols. Your weapons are now permanently configured, fed for defensive operations only. Consider it our gift to galactic peace. You can't do this. Beaks Terra's skin had turned completely transparent, a sign of ultimate distress in our species. We are the Council. We have ruled for 10,000 cycles, and now you've been upgraded. Chun replied, your ships are safer, your crews are protected, and you're no longer a threat to anyone, including yourselves. You're welcome. The final insult: they sent prayer teams to fix our ship's life support systems for free. After all, Calloway noted, we believe everyone deserves to breathe clean air, even those who tried to suffocate progress. As our fleet hung there completely at their mercy, I received a private message from Ambassador Sarah Chun. Remember how you wondered if we planned all this? The truth is we planned something much better. We planned to make planning unnecessary. Welcome to the age of cooperation. The revolution ended not with a bang, but with complimentary maintenance service and an invitation to join the next Alliance trade conference. Back in the Council chamber, watching Vexterra try to process our total defeat through acts of kindness, I finally understood humanity's greatest weapon. It wasn't their technology, their innovation, or even their military might. It was their absolute refusal to be the villains we wanted them to be. They could have crushed us, instead they fixed our ships. They could have humiliated us, instead they invited us to join them. They could have taken revenge, instead they sent us thank you notes for inspiring them to build something better. My final official act as ambassador was to submit the Council's unconditional surrender. The Alliance's response: they rejected it. Surrender implies defeat, Calloway explained. We prefer to call this an upgrade in management style. Now who wants to learn about part participatory democracy? Looking around at the former Council members eagerly signing up for Alliance citizenship, I added one last note to my records. The humans had a saying, living well is the best revenge. But they proved something even more profound: helping your enemies live better is the greatest victory of all. The Council tried to contain humanity's potential. Instead, we gave them the perfect opportunity to prove why that was never possible in the first place. And report: this is former Ambassador Krill Nova signing up for my first alliance trading license. I hear there's good money and irony exports these days.